So a significant number of people in management were actually in acting positions, which we have now changed. All people have permanent employment on contracts. We also had a number of delayed projects at the time, which were tainting the reputation and the image of the company. But on top of that, we also didn't have much visibility out there. Many people did not know the difference between UTCL and the other players in the electricity supply industry. So when I got the job, the first question was, what is my immediate assignment? And I answered this question by saying myself, management, and the board needed to put UTCL on a transformation path and turnaround path. So the next question would be, how are you going to try and transform and turn around the organization? My answer to this question was that we needed to do, at the minimum, two things. There are so many other requirements that you would need to improve an organization, but at the minimum, I felt that we needed to do just two things. One was to have the right, motivated, and engaged staff. At the time when I joined, we had roughly 500 permanent staff and 300 casuals. Immediately, we looked through that organization, and I let 70 staff go for good reasons, and we hired 40 new staff. And we started an engagement program to make sure that everybody feels part of UTCL from the employee side. The next thing I felt that we needed to do at the minimum was to try and change the culture of the organization. And around this culture issue, we needed to address two things: that the organization needed to be performance driven, to kind of remove the laid back attitude, so that people need to know that they have targets to meet. And the second thing under culture was to ensure that there was more accountability and transparency. So having known that we needed to do that, we went on to implement these things. The next question would be, what is your assessment of the last 20 months, given that kind of picture that I've painted? My assessment is that the results have been very stunning. I should say we have been very successful in the last 20 months, and we look forward with optimism to continuing putting UTCL on a transformation path. So you might ask me, what is it that you have done and what are those results? In my view, one, we started by crafting a new strategic plan for the organization. When I joined, the old strategic plan had 3 months to end. That was June 2023. So we started working on a new strategic plan, which would take us from 2024 to 2029, the 5-year strategic plan. When I joined, they had just hired a consultant. They were in the final stages of finalizing the contract for the consultant to do this strategic plan. So my first message in management was to cancel that procurement so that we do the strategic plan ourselves and own it. And we have successfully done our initial strategic plan for the next 5 years, and it has been fully approved by all levels, including the board and the shareholders. Our emphasis in this strategic plan for the next 5 years, I've already indicated to you, it's performance driven. Every individual has an individual performance agreement and set objectives for every year out of the 5 years. And we have already done the first review of the first 6 months, so that people are accountable and deliver to certain results and targets that we are aiming for. But we also completed the ISO certification. We are now 9001 ISO certified, meaning that our procedures and processes have been streamlined with a view of delivering value to our customers and stakeholders. Now, apart from the strategic plan that sets the scene for us for the next 5 years in terms of projects, the number of kilometers we are going to add on the grid, the kind of financing we require, I also made sure that we needed to clear the backlog of issues that we are tainting the organization. And under this second area of clearing the backlog for bad image, we have been able to achieve a lot. But just to mention a few, We completed the line that evacuates the Achua power plant, that is the Gulu Agago line. We finished it in December of last year. This line, the plant actually had been completed in 2019. So from about August 2019 up to when we finished the line in December of 2023, the government had been paying $2.5 million in deemed energy, power that the country was not using. So by making sure we completed this line within the shortest time possible, we saved the country and the government $2.5 million in deemed energy every month. We have since completed the Gulu Nebi-Arua transmission line that connects the West Nile to the national grid. This had not happened since independence, and it means now the people of West Nile, as promised by the government, are connected to the national grid, which means reliable power, and more development for that area. We have also done the Mirama Kabale transmission line and the related substations. This project has achieved two things. One, we have fully connected to Rwanda, where we are now earning $1 million every month. But two, that region, the Kabale region, is a tourist corridor that requires stable and reliable power. So the people who run the tourism business there and the government have actually suffered a lot with intermittent power. But this December, which is before the end of this month, the line is going to be energized, the substation is also going to be energized, and there will be reliable power in that area and in that corridor. But for Rwanda, the interconnection through Mirama has already been completed, and for over a year, we've been earning more than $1 million a month. We also had another thing that was tainting our reputation as an organization. You know, our main business is really to maintain the high voltage grid, and wherever it passes, we own land of the corridor where it passes. But for us to own that land, we usually cut off titles from people's land where we buy, where the corridor is going to pass. But there has been a huge backlog of titles not returned to the owners of land. And when I came in, we had a backlog of close to 1,500 titles. And immediately I decided to have a project in that area of making sure we return people's titles which we had held for a period of more than 10, 15 years. So far, out of the 1,500 titles in this new project we have set up on the land issues, we have so far cleared 700 titles, and we are continuing to clear this backlog. That tells you we have cleared more than half in 1 year. Now, that ends the whole story on the old things that were tainting the image of UETCL. Then we move forward. We say, okay, you've completed old projects. What else going forward? We need to have new projects going forward for continuity, apart from maintaining the grid. In the area of the new projects, you know, we are a member of the Eastern African Power Pool, which is an organization that ensures that we can trade within the member countries to trade in power, which would bring down the cost of power in the region in terms of making sure that the investments are correct, the countries are interconnected. So we are a member of the East African Power Pool. The trading is expected to begin mid next year, 2025. But in terms of preparations, we have also gone ahead to make sure that we are interconnected within the region. Just to give you examples, for Masaka Mwanza, which is the Tanzanian interconnection, the feasibilities have been done and completed, supported by the World Bank. Now, the World Bank is getting approvals from their board to make sure that this project, the construction phase begins, which we expect to begin in the course of next year. The Oluyo Nimule, that is from Karumo Oluyo Nimule, is the interconnection for Southern Sudan. The feasibilities for this line have already been done and completed under African Development Bank. So Again, African Development Bank is getting all the approvals to ensure that they fund this project and we go into construction in the near future. So we expect in 2025, the groundwork for procuring the contractors will be done. The DRC interconnection, the feasibilities are also ongoing under the African Development Bank funding. That is around the EAPP, but we also have other new projects. The Kampala Metropolitan Project, which will improve the connectivity of electricity around Kampala. This project is already ongoing. The groundbreaking happened 3 months ago. It's a $100 million project. It will make sure that the ring around the Kampala metropolitan area is provided with reliable power, and that means for the significant investments of the country that are around Kampala, that they are in good state in terms of energy. We have the project for the industrial park phase 2. We want to electrify the industrial parks. We already did the phase 1. The phase 2, the financing agreement with Exim Bank has been signed for $100 million. And we are going into the phase of where we secure the consultant. The contractor is the same contractor for phase 1, CAMC. So this is also a project that we look forward for the next 3 years. The standard gauge rail, the side of the gauge rail has already been signed by government, and they have the Turkish contractor, and the funding has already been secured. We are now looking for funding to make sure we need to provide the electrification for the standard gauge rail. This project will make sure that in the next year, the electricity side is also sorted.
Step into a world of excellence, comfort and pride with Royal Foam Furniture, crafted to perfection right here in Uganda. We bring you state-of-the-art living room furniture and bedding products at affordable prices. Our wide variety of mattresses include orthopedic, pillow top, spring mattresses suitable for institutions like hotels, and many others for home comfort. With every piece telling a story of royal excellence, our products are built with the highest quality materials made to last. Experience royalty with Royal Foam Furniture, proudly made in Uganda, so buy Uganda and build Uganda. Visit our showrooms at Ginger Road, Chambogo Junction, Bukoto Chisasi Road, and on Victoria Mall, Entebbe, on the first floor.
Let's talk about vandalism. Yes, vandalism has been there, and it's not an issue unique to only UTCL. Even the lower voltage lines for the distribution have also been vandalized. But also, to put this into perspective, this problem is a country or a whole country problem. We could not manage it as UTCL alone, although we have had certain interventions which have been specific to UTCL. So what we have done, if you notice, on our own grid, the level of vandalism has gone significantly down from the time I joined. The significant impact had been on the Karuma-Kawanda line, where they had vandalized the 5 towers, meaning that evacuation of the Karuma plant could not happen. When I came in, within the next 6 months, those 5 towers were replaced at the cost of the contractor, because they had not yet handed over the line to UTCL. And that cost the contractor close to $1 million. However, to have this issue really resolved, we brought it to the attention of the government. The Prime Minister's office is involved. The security agencies are involved. We have involved the communities where these lines are. We have had to do sensitizations on radios. So I can clearly say, with a concerted effort, not for only UTCL, this issue has actually been significantly addressed. But also now, from the angle of going forward, we have started replacing the towers that are in vandalism-prone areas with the towers you call monopoles. These monopoles the type of towers that cannot be easily vandalized. While the other old towers would stand like on 4 or more legs, if I may use the word, this is a monopole. It's one big pole with the infrastructure on top of it. So we have started doing this. I think the last procurement for 14 billion shillings we have just done, the award is going to be done this month. So gradually, in areas where we know vandalism is a high risk, we are beginning to replace those towers with what we call monopoles. We continue to face a number of challenges here and there. Of course, the issue of financing. There is never enough resource. You have to use the limited resource. For instance, the government needs to give us a significant amount of budget to address issues of like CDAP. We need to make sure communities are left the same way or better off when we got there to put there our infrastructure. So that kind of funding has been kind of a bit limited, and especially like the line we have just completed in West Nile, the gap line that connected the West Nile, we are yet to complete the CDAP issues that are related to communities, but we have been assured this budget will come from the Minister of Energy and Minister of Finance. We continue to have a few challenges that are related to the residue issues of COVID. Because of COVID, we had 2 years lost, and the impact of these projects that were in the pipeline have continued to be affected in a way that we have had to accept certain extensions on certain projects. Even this Mirama Kabale, the one we are completing now, was delayed by other things, but also in addition to that, there was the COVID issue. So those are some of the challenges we have had, but we continue to resolve them as we go along. The East African Power Pool has 13 countries as membership of the organization, but we are interconnected in the region to our neighbors Kenya, Tanzania, and Rwanda. We are also connected to Southern Sudan, but not as UETCL, on a 33 kV that is operated by UEDCL. And that's why we need to put there the bigger line. In terms of improving our connectivity to Kenya, this had already been in plans. There's a line that runs from Bujagali to Tororo that was being done and supported by JICA. That line was significantly vandalized. As we speak now, it is not operational. We need close to 60 billion Uganda shillings to make sure that that line is up and running. That would improve our connectivity to Kenya. We have requested this budget of 60 billion through Ministry of Energy. We were not able to get this put into the budget for 2024-2025. Our hope is that it will be put in the next year's budget. We've also made sure that we complete the line that runs from Lira to Tororo to Mbale. That line, the last 34 kilometers were still wooden, were not completed in the previous project because of land issues. We have since agreed to complete that line by removing the wooden portion, the 34 kilometers, using our own corridor, not acquiring new land. The contract was signed with Kalpataru, and the project should be completed by April next year. Well, I don't have those numbers off cuff, but I can tell you since I joined, if you look at the project that runs from Gulu to Arua, that is roughly 287 kilometers. If you look at the project that is from Achua to Gulu, that is 87 plus kilometers. We have done Mirama Kabale, that is 88 kilometers. So you can do the math and see we've added a lot of mileage on this project within the last 20 months. Right now we're already trading on a bilateral basis with Kenya, Rwanda, and Tanzania. So using the infrastructure that is available, we are able to participate in the East African Power Pool trading. However, to improve on this trading, we need to improve on the interconnectivity. So The lines I've told you, the interconnection between Uganda and Tanzania, Southern Sudan and Uganda and the DRC will only improve this trading. But come mid next year, we will participate in this trade based on the existing infrastructure. Best you can do is to use what you have and only improve. We can't sit back and say we will not participate in the trade until we are 100% perfect. But what we are saying is that the infrastructure that exists now allows us to begin trading on the East African Power Pool, and with the support of the East African Power Pool and NELSAP, we've been able to do the feasibility studies for new interconnections, which I've already mentioned, and the construction works are going to start. So the trading on the East African Power Pool platform will even become better after 2 or 3 years when these interconnections have been completed. Right now, in terms of generation capacity, we are at just above 2,000 megawatts. The estimation when this starts won't be significantly different from the 2025 megawatts that we have, but there is a lot of generation plans growing the generation capacity, because we know by 2040, according to the government policy, we should be at 52,000 megawatts, including things like nuclear and others. It's actually going to, it's like a stock exchange. It is going to depend on the demand on the other side and the competition from other players. So it is not like we are going to say we have 500 megawatts that we are going to be trading on the East African Power Pool. No, it does not work like that. In the morning, the trading platform will say we need 1,000. Then you compete within the region to make sure that the tariff goes down. So it will depend who is available, who is not available, how much can you put there, and what is your tariff. There's a lot of permutation, but you cannot say we will have this quanta for the East African Power Pool. Like we know, we have 2,000 megawatts today. At peak demand,